Alright, hello, all my internet friends and family. I'm here again. I got a odd size canvas up here. I've already got some, barely any liquid white, but there's a little bit on here. It's a 15 by 30, it's a gallery wrap canvas. And I'm just going to play around on it today. I don't know if you guys are going to see this or not. If you're seeing it, welcome. If you're not, then this went in the garbage. So you know the process there. I'm going to use a color I've never used before. We've had this tube. Steve had me buy it and said we may use it in class. We never used it. Starting to leak a little of the oil out of it. So let's use it and see. Permanent rose. And that's what we'll start with today. And again, I got the whole canvas covered in liquid white. And I'm going to grab a brush over here somewhere. What do I want to use? Let's use our old 2-inch we used last time. Alright, permanent rose looks a lot like, to me, just on my palette, it looks a lot like alizarin crimson. So if you're painting this and, see, look on the brush even, it's a little different, but not much. So if you're painting this and you don't have permanent rose, which most people won't, unless you just have a collection of oil paint, just use crimson. You'll be fine. So I'm thinking we want, yeah, it's very much like crimson to me. Whew, that's a little more than I wanted. I'm going to tone that down a little bit. I'm thinking of like a little Alaskan scene, maybe. Man, it's strong. It is stronger than crimson. I'm going to wipe a little bit off my brush there. And you know me, I like vibrant colors, so I don't really care if it's a little strong. Now I'm using the brush I'm using it this way. You could turn it this way and put this paint on too. Whatever. Well, I'll use both, so. We'll lose a little bit of this anyway. And it's a little brighter than I wanted, but that's okay. And I'm going to bring it down, like I said, an odd size canvas. So ideally what I'm thinking about is about right here is the horizon. So most of the canvas is up here. Most of the canvas could be in the sky and in the trees. So just a little bit of foreground here that we'll work with today. Rainy, nasty day in Tennessee. Things like that's all we've had lately. If you suffer from SAD, it may not be the best place for you right now. So, seasonal affective disorder. Get you one of those lights. Those work pretty good, actually. Yeah. I don't mind if it's a little... you got really bright here and softer over here. That's okay. We never want solid colors, or typically don't want solid colors, where you blend this into one mass of color. You want to leave it kind of light in some areas and a little darker in others, and just let it meander wherever it wants to. I like this color, but it is, to me, it's very similar to crimson. So it's called Permanent Rose. And I'm using a Winton paint. Just stretch it. I don't like that. I don't know if we'll see it, but I don't like that. There we go. That's much nicer. Okay. So we've got a nice bit of crimson on there already. Let's go to another color now. Maybe. Let's do a little bit of cad yellow or yellow ochre, whichever I put up here and like. I really don't know where I'm going exactly. I've kind of sketched this out a little bit. Been looking at photos of Alaska since I'm going back there. Photos I took when I was up there, but photos from the winter. It's kind of what I've been looking at, so. And I could use the same brush. I'm just going to use a smaller one because I want to see if this actually looks okay. I'm going to start with cad yellow, but I may prefer yellow ochre, so I may change my mind. And I'm going to work that down into that color, actually, right up top. I want a good bit of yellow in here, too. Yeah, that's going to work fine. Yellow ochre would be fine, too, and we may even throw a little bit of that on at the end here. See how I'm just kind of overlapping the colors? Taking that brush, letting it go where it wants. And it's a little... There we go. Yeah. Yeah, that looks nice. Nice to me. Maybe it looks awful to you guys. Look on the camera. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad at all. Sorry for having to clear my voice there. Still trying to get over that cold somewhat. It's been over a month now, so I think my voice is coming back a little bit. I got a 23 person class coming up, so I better get that voice back. I'm going to leave a little gap there. Yeah, I kind of like that. Now, I may, just for, sometimes this will look odd if you don't, just kind of blend right at the edge of those colors so you don't see a line or anything. I don't really see it, but I want to make sure I don't see it. I'm just run that big brush back over top there. I don't care if the colors mix a little bit, don't care if they stand out a little bit, don't really care much at all. I'm trying to sit here and paint and not care about the weather outside. How about that? Excuse me. Hope everybody's well where you're at. I would much rather be having snow than cold rain. You may hear a noise in the background, sounds like a fan or something. That's our fireplace going. So at least we can somewhat keep warm and a little bit more cozy feel in here when it's all that nasty rain going on. I'm going to bring a little bit of that yellow ochre on down too. This is the same brush I used for the cad yellow. It's the little yellow ochre sitting on top of that cad. I don't know that I like it, but I don't know that I hate it either, so there's that. You're going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to put a little bit of blue or a little bit of green up here in a minute. So if I do blue and if it turns green, that's perfect. I'm not going to do anything at the bottom of the canvas just yet. Not anything. We can just blend. I don't mind that little bit of dark. Do you see that? It's kind of like a yellow cloud. I don't know what's going on if you got a yellow cloud. That's strong, but you know, I don't know. Now, I've been debating, should I use cerulean? Will that look good with these colors? I don't know. I'll show you what cerulean looks like. Get it right there. It's a pretty color. Let's try it. Like I said, if it turns on off, well, you guys don't get to see this one anyway. So who am I talking to? Again, I think it's my subconscious kind of bubbling up to the surface. Don't mean to get Freudian with you guys. Alright, let's try it. Oh yeah, that looks really nice with that color, actually. I switch brushes so I don't turn it completely green all at once. And working that right up to that yellow. Over here we'll probably get, and I want a little green, I should say. I'm not trying to avoid it. Not really wanting to avoid it at all. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. It's really the beautiful color. I just never use it. I still prefer, I think, Prussian blue over it. To me, just a good all-purpose blue, I guess. Yeah. You gotta remember, I didn't go to art school and all those things, so I don't know exactly every little bit of thing about these paints. All I know to do is play with them and have fun. And don't take that a knock on people going to art school. I wish I kind of had gone now. Took several art history classes. That was fun. Big paper on Rodin. At least should have got a minor in art history. So I appreciate art. Always have, just never tried it. And I would venture to guess some of the things I paint aren't quite considered art. So yeah, want a little bit of blue up there in the sky. Yeah, I don't mind that. I really want a little bit stronger though in the corners. Maybe even at the top here. So we'll probably just kind of bring some things out. Just bringing some little stringy things out here. You can even do it in here if you wanted to. If you don't have a lot of paint, you won't get green right off. May get a little green, but that's okay. Maybe over here. Some little things happening. Who knows what's going on in here. Ooh, there's one. Let's leave her there and let's blend a little bit. Let's go back to the brush I put the liquid white on with. It may soften things down the way I want them to soften down. There we go. I don't know what that was. I think my paint fell. Got a huge bucket of paint sitting over there and it started falling. I'm just using big strokes here, not worrying if paint colors mix together. Again, I do wish that I hadn't got it so bright down here, left it a little bit softer. So maybe working this brush with some liquid white up into that really dark crimson would be a good idea. It should be about this value is what I was looking for. Very soft to start with especially. So you could take a little titanium white. I don't care what happens down here because we're going to change all that anyway. We will have snow. Oh, there we go. A little bit softer down there. That looks a little nicer to me. It gives a little bit more distance and depth to the painting already. Let's take a little bit of Prussian blue. And again, you guys don't really need to even see my palette. I'm not mixing anything. I'm just using straight colors right now. I hate holding the palette. I know that's lazy on my part and not fair to you guys, but if I can get away with not holding that palette, I'm much happier. So I just use my palette laying here. It's 18 by 24 inch piece of glass cutting board. I painted the back gray, so it works pretty good. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. A little bit darker in these corners. And we'll blend that guy out here in a minute. Don't care if we get a little green, that's okay. If anything, I saw green skies in Alaska more than anywhere else. So, and when I say green, not like Toxic Avenger green or anything. It's kind of a greenish hint to them. Hint of green. There we go. About what I want. And then I'll use again that same brush with the liquid white just to kind of knock those down a little bit. Same thing over here. Not worried about too much going on just yet. We've spent. Now you could throw these colors on real quick and do the same thing I just did. As I'm creating, I like to slow down. To me, painting is kind of like having a good cup of coffee. There's no point in rushing it. Don't stop at Starbucks. Take a little extra time at home, grind your coffee, put it in a French press, get some good beans, grind them that morning. So it's all those things that, to me, relate back to this type of painting or any kind of painting. Sit down, take your time when you can, and relax, and just paint. There is nothing wrong with taking your time. Alright, so the sky's looking pretty good. That's about what I wanted. To be completely honest, that's about right. That's about what's in my head. Again, not working off a photograph. I've seen photographs, and this is not, what I'm painting is not near what the photograph. I'm talking about the sky. I wanted a pretty sky. And that's about where I wanted it. Then we'll get some white out. I better just get a bunch of white out. Because I think I'm going to have birch trees. I'll wait and see what I feel like at the end here. Because birch trees will take me a while. I don't like doing them. I like how they look. Alright. Could be a seascape too. Be a pretty sky for a seascape. Let's see. What do we want to do next? We probably want to mix up a little bit of color. And I'll show you what I'll mix up here on my knife. With a little bit of that Prussian blue, maybe a touch of the cerulean, and then mostly white. We'll make up a light value blue. Very light. And then I also want to throw just a little bit of black in it just to dull it down. Maybe a touch of brown. Maybe just a touch of vandyke or burnt umber, whatever you have laying around. That will look nice too. So let's throw just a little bit of black and a little bit of brown in there. Again, I will show you the mixture here on the knife once I get it. Yeah. A dirty blue is what I always call this. It's almost got a little green in it. But it's a very soft color. Let me show you what it looks like. See that? That's the two blues, mostly Prussian blue really. Touch of brown, and most the big majority is white. Or the vast majority of that paint color is white with the little colors in it. If you don't like that, don't use it. A little black in it. I didn't put black in that actually. I'm just gonna kind of leave it like that. Oh, maybe we'll start with the old filbert and see what runs out of it today. I don't know. No, I'm gonna use the filbert, but I'm gonna actually put a few sticks and things back here just to kind of get me going. Or maybe not. What happens when you paint with me? I don't know what the heck I'm doing sometimes. Oh, let's put... Yeah, I think... see, alright. Wow, Bram's like, what? Are you changing your mind again? I want to put me some little guideposts for trees. These don't really matter what they look like. I just want to have a nice sharp top on these. There's one. Let's do one over here that's not quite as tall. Let's do another one here that's a little taller. Let's make it straight. Don't need crooked trees in my world. Maybe there's a stronger one over here. Maybe over here. Maybe over here. I just want to know where some trees are sitting. Another one right there. And I'll make sure we got the right number here in a few minutes. Alright, that's what I wanted. Just an indication of something starting. And I'm going to wipe most of the paint off my brush and just use very little paint for this. The little dagger brush would be good for this little type of tree. I want it to be very sparse and very back there, if that makes any sense. Trying again to get out of painting mountains all the time. I can paint a mountain. You guys know that. You can probably paint mountains. But we want to start thinking about doing other things that aren't mountains all the time. I love mountains. I'll keep mentioning it for the rest of the year until we go, and then I'll talk about it when we get back. We're going back to Alaska again. I'll get to see these Denali and some of the Alaskan range and all that. And I'm just stoked about it. And we'll put the bigger trees in, and then what I'm going to do is actually start coming back in and just putting some color, blending all those out almost to where there's nothing there. And again, just let that paintbrush run out of paint. Have some of these, look at that, look how faint that is. And that's what I'm wanting. Again, we may use the dagger a little bit too here. I had actually intended to wipe the sky back off a little bit, and I forgot. Good to do if you don't want a lot of wet paint under there. Ooh, maybe stronger than I wanted it. That's okay. I'm just making trees. They have some detail. They won't get any highlight. These are just going to be trees in the background. You ever been to Alaska, or maybe places like Alaska, the trees really are sparse. Switch to the... I'm going to switch to my dagger brush here. I like that brush. I can also use the dagger very, very nicely to make a line. So if I want to bring that line up a little bit. We can have some different looking trees in here. And you can tap these on. Again, if you don't have much paint, you can also just kind of go side to side with them, put whatever in there. So just so you know what we're going to do, I'll probably do a couple more. Let's do a bigger one. It's a little bit darker. And maybe it's right here. Well, what I was going to say is, so you know what I'm doing, if you're painting along, maybe this will be another tree practice video, who knows. especially if I'm doing birch trees. I want those to be misty and foggy back in there. The foreground won't be much, but it will set the painting off. This is just your background work. This is soft, snowy scene. Let's actually let this one be a little bit taller. I really like the different ways you can use this little brush here. I think somebody like Bob Ross or Bill Alexander would have loved one of these. You can turn it different ways and get different effects. Remember, as long as it looks like a tree at the end, you've done right. There's no wrong here. Somebody tells you you're doing it wrong, they're telling you wrong. So, I also don't want them all at the same plane. Make sure we don't have that. Then we got 6. Uh-oh. We better at least do one more before we stop. You guys will be yelling at me saying, you got 6 trees. I know I made a line of another one there. We'll take care of that. There's some little stuff back in. Ooh. Boy, this one's looking a little shaggy. But thick there on the paint too. Can't see that side of the canvas as well the way I'm working. Alright. I'm going to take I'll just use the big brush here. I got one in my hand. What I picked up. Oh, let's wipe it off. Wipe it off real quick. Don't want to get too much blue in the pink. Like a nice lavender. I really just want to get rid of some of this. Well, you can have some fun doing this, by the way. Then we'll go back in and mess with these. This is going to be probably a longer painting. To me, I don't care how, I keep preaching this. I don't care how long it takes me to paint. I care what the process feels like and what the process looks like once I'm done. Sorry for all the banging. I want these to be in the mist. I don't really want to see the bottoms of these. Yeah, there we go. There we go. It's starting to look like what's in my head, at least. Somewhat. Alright. Had to get me a drink. Always get you a drink next to your palette, next to your canvas somewhere. Keep it away. Don't get liquid white splattered in it, but keep you a drink. It'll do you good. I'm going to put a few little stick trees in there now. Could have done that to start with, but I didn't want to start with those. More than we have now, and I want to make sure, let's get a little bit of this. Make sure they don't get too big on me. And then we'll kind of knock those into. How you do yours is up to you. I always kind of start pulling up. Whatever happened down here doesn't really matter. I'm going to blend all that in. Make sure I hit record again. Alright, there's one. Boy, that's a big one. Probably cover that one up later at the end anyway. We're going to work in layers here. Let what happens happen. Always remember the A-team when would say, I love it when a plan comes together. Well, apparently my motto is I don't like having a plan, so just let whatever happens happen. I think some of my favorite paintings are when I've just sat down, and nothing against you guys, I love everybody that watches these, but I think I enjoy painting just for myself sometimes. And what happens is people say, why don't you do a video of that one? And then I do the video and it doesn't look as good. It's like it came out organically, and then you can't really get that going again. Ooh, too big of a trunk, and those are all too spaced pretty much the same. Let's throw a few in here that aren't. Even if we don't see anything on them, I want to see a few sticks up in here. Dead trees in the distance. Let your brush run out of paint. You never know. Well, it's going to look odd until we play with them a little bit. We'll put some darker ones in here in a minute too. I'm really focusing on keeping the painting soft, but also kind of bringing some detail out. Okay, yeah. Let's knock the bottoms of those in now. Cover our paint thinner back up here in a minute before we get high. We don't want to see where those start and stop all the time. We want to just let them be. Shoot, you can do this if you need to. Okay. Just get rid of the bottoms of those. I can already tell you we're going to need many more trees in here. I've got an idea of how to finish out the bottom to give us a little something a little bit more detail. Okay. Heat pump came on. I hope you guys don't have to hear that too much. I'll turn it off if we do. Kind of annoying. Let's just go back. Now let's take a little bit more blues and throw into that first color. Just a touch of brown again. But we're just making it darker. Going up just slightly. Just slightly. Very little change at a time. There we go. I'm going to go back to the filbert first. I always like to take my filbert and kind of chisel it. I don't know that you can see that. Let's see if I can get it a little more chiseled. Maybe you'll be able to see it right there. Kind of comes almost like a fan brush would be chiseled, to where you're gluing those bristles together. That will help you to get a nice line in here. Oh, some of these, even the ones we painted, if we don't like them, like this one, I don't care for that one. I hear noise. My PlayStation came on. Don't ask me why. A little bit darker here in between those two lighter ones. We're just thinking of how this tree would reach out and say hello. Plenty of room for the birds. I don't know if you guys play PlayStation, but you can probably hear that in the background. Ugh. You can actually, even with this one, just kind of lay out the structure of the tree that you want. You don't want it kind of swooping down. A lot of trees up in Alaska were up trees. I don't know why Bob spent so much time mostly painting down trees. Most had a little bit of up tilt to them. The branches kind of hang up. Down in here, I'm not worried about it too much because I'm going to smack that out, as you can imagine. Let's switch to a smaller brush. This is going to work a little better. I don't think that will matter. It's got a little yellow on it. Let's see if it... I'd probably use a clean brush. See how it's got the yellow in it? You know me. Lazy Bram, don't want to clean a brush here. Let's just get the smack in there. Now we got that one in front of that one. I know what I can talk to you guys about. Something that's just fascinating to me and kind of a little upsetting sometimes. So, mainly we watch YouTube. And a lot of good content on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of podcasts, or I don't know what they call them when you see the person, but that's essentially what it is. On neuroscience and things of that nature. But then also you'll see prepping videos come up. Now, let me say right off, I am all for prepping. That doesn't mean that I'm stockpiling, 800 weapons or anything at my house. or we have massive amounts of food around. But prepping can be a very good thing. And I'm not meaning to offend anyone by what I'm going to say. But what I have seen, trends on YouTube, seems that all you've got to do to get a lot of views nowadays is start talking about prepping and the end of the world, and not zombie-ish end of the world. That's kind of fun to talk about. I've always liked that. But more along the lines of the government's going to come in and take everything I've got and all that stuff. And I don't mean to get political. I'm apolitical, if anything, anymore. It's just when you create things that make people somewhat in a good mood, you know, painting, music, whatever it may be, talking about things, it gets a little frustrating seeing somebody put on, it's happening, the end of the world's here today, and nothing happens. And they've got 68,000 views in 12 hours, you know, or something along those lines. So why am I saying all that? To make some of you mad, hopefully not. What I'm saying is we've really got to get back to a focus on happiness and contentment. And I don't know how to get there. People are so worried about everything that we're not really putting the focus on art, music, and things that are happening that are peaceful and keep our blood pressure down. So take some time. Watch prepping videos if you do. It's fun. But take some time and find something also very peaceful. It may not be watching me. It may be watching... we actually watch a couple that lives in Alaska, and they sort of do some prepping. Simple Living Alaska, that's probably Karen and I's favorite channel. Anytime a video comes on, we're all excited because we got something to watch that evening. So find something like that and put that into your life, and I think we'd all be a little better off if we get away from a little bit of the craziness of the world sometimes. My mental health, now I still get on Facebook because I have to look at my page and I have to share videos and things. But I try to do that 2 or 3 times a day as I'm working on the computer or something. I've taken Facebook off my phone. I have taken Reddit off my phone. I took TikTok off a long time ago. Again, I don't think things like TikTok are the healthiest for any of us, especially if you've got young kids. The detrimental effects to attention and everything. I worry about... Oh goodness, I'm just getting on. Apparently this would be a soapbox painting, so you can just mute me, or you can just skip the channel, I guess. But I do worry about the detrimental effects to, especially young girls going through developmental stages, of having to look a certain way. That's always been the case, but it's amplified by things like TikTok and all the trends and everything that come up on there, and it's just it's concerning. So find something peaceful. Check out Simple Living Alaska. They fish and they you know, they live. They live for the moment. I was reading something about dogs. Somebody, I think it's a poem or something, and somebody was talking about how dogs, they don't live for tomorrow, they live for today. And I think a lot of us, myself including at times, live for tomorrow or next week instead of trying to live for today and live in the moment and let what's going to happen happen. Because we really have very little control over anything. Very little control. We can control what's in our space. That's about it. So be more like a dog, I guess is what I would say. I know I'm rambling. I'm just painting. I can shut up. You guys tell me shut up. I won't talk like this as much. Or you have to tell me after the video. So I want a bigger stick one here. I don't want to turn all these stick trees into full-blown trees. Sometimes the little details like this, putting a lot of little things in here, and again, I don't do fast. Take time, but they're worth it at the end. And then sometimes they're not. Yeah, why did I spend so much time on that? But I'm having fun. I don't really have any classes this week. Be going to see, hopefully going to see Bruce Springsteen on Friday night. Possibly. That works out. Another thing I enjoy is painting and music. So, trees in the mist, huh? We may sock a little bit of white under those just to make it a little more misty. I'm going to load up that darker color on my dagger brush now and go over here. One of these needs to be one of those, right? So let's make this one that. Trees might get. We may even put on a couple of these. We may bring out and put a little bit of snow. I don't know how they hang down there with the weight of the snow, and you really can't see it if they're just blue. That's kind of what I'm envisioning here. There's a lot of weight on some of these. I'd move to Alaska and try it out for a while, but I can't convince Karen. I'd probably come back after a week. I think I could make it a week. Steve and I stayed for not quite a week, but we both did get sick, so there's some excuse at least. We were starting to feel bad. We hightailed it home, wore our mask on the plane, got out of there. All right. Now, I may come back at the end and throw more in. I may do other things to that background, but for now, I think that's what I want for that scene without making the video 82 minutes long. But I think what we should do, I think it will look good. What we should do is take a little bit of white and sock under those trees. So I'm going to take this titanium white. I wouldn't use liquid white here because it could get really messy. Yeah, just a little bit of fog under here, and that's a little too thick. It almost looks like snow, but we beat it around enough. We'll knock it down to where it will work. And don't have just one layer of fog. Remember, fog is just clouds, so let it just kind of meander back in here. I'll just knock that down. Let it come back in here, and we can keep putting white on here. We just don't want to add too much. Something like that, a little rolling fog. Now it doesn't look like the trees are floating as much, in my opinion. Almost was starting to look like they were floating. And I'm just beating every which way, adding paint as I need it. And it go up and meet, and I even knock some of the trees down a little more than I had them knocked down, and all that stuff. So when you think about Alaska, if you've not been, look at some pictures. This looks like Alaska to me. You would think, so living in the Smokies, if I went up into the mountains, I'm just covered in trees and ferns and bushes, you know, wild azaleas and rhododendrons and laurels, all those things just make very dense. In Alaska, if you get out, this is what you see. You see a tree here, a tree way back there, a bunch of dead ones, and there's space in between them. So it's a much different look than I'm used to here in the Smoky Mountains. One thing you'll notice there, now I'm going to have to fix this. I've almost made one plane here. I mean, I've got some softer ones back in there, but I didn't mean to eat up so much of maybe that one. Let that come on back down a little bit. So here in a minute we'll probably bring a few of these back down. It's a nice vivid color, bright, cheery. I've needed that. It's, again, nasty, crappy weather. Excuse my language. Pull a couple of these back down out of the fog. Almost getting too many, so let's stop there. I really wish I could get that brush clean enough to use a smaller one. Oh, I got another one. Clean one. Right there. I got that a little too thick. I don't want it like super thick right in these places. It gets... There we go. And do that quickly is probably better than what I'm doing here. Alright, let's go ahead and fix our tree. Let's find a couple to bring back down. We'll do one with the dagger, one without. Maybe a stick tree all the way down, but let's just bring this guy to about right there so that we can see a little bit more of him. I want to knock that down a little bit into the mist, but I want that color to be behind there. Like there's a tree back there. It's being very loose and... Yeah, like that. There we go. Kind of want that. Ooh. Something like that. And then let's go back to our filbert. And let's decide, I like that one where it's at. Let's bring this one down just a touch. About right there. And we'll bring a stick tree down. I have our threes. And just bring a little bit of that color really down so I can smack it out here. Let's smack that out. And that makes that tree a little bit further down on the canvas. Same thing here. Still looks misty and foggy, but again, we get that darkness back there, indicating that tree's a little closer to us is all. And after the painting's done, I don't want to make you guys sit here. I'll probably fiddle with this a good bit and just throw in little stick trees here and there as I see fit. Because you could really have tons here. You don't want to fill it up completely. Again, like I said, this looks Alaskan-y to me. That one's almost in the middle of the canvas, so let's bring this one down. A little bit right there. There we go. That's all it needed. Bring it up a little bit too. Sorry for my ranting on the prepping videos. Again, I am completely for prepping. It's just crazy people making every little thing a video, sitting in their cars talking about things that will likely never happen. And getting way more views than, oh, I don't know, just happy things. Half of my videos I watch on YouTube are golden retriever videos. I've started getting like a rescue beaver video. I don't know. Those are fun. Porcupines and things of that, eating. Music. I do like a lot of music on there. And, you know, that's about it. And then painting. And now I've got neuroscience videos coming on there about memory and things. That's kind of fun to watch. Alright, so those are our background trees. I know it's taken all day to paint those. But let's just load up a good bit of white. Titanium white. Pretty much straight. I'll tell you what we could do. We want a little tint down here. Let's just clean our brush. We'll use the pink. Bring it all the way down. Sometimes now this paint snow completely white. But this will look good, I think. And we could even, heck, because it's up there in the sky. This is not water, but a little bit of darkness down here will help us get a little bit of shadow under there too. Okay, don't need much. So let's find out, what do we want to do here? Well, you want to have some snow. Easiest thing you'll ever paint is snow. Just take that brush and run it. I got a little yellow in my snow. Gotta be careful there. Gotta be careful. Alright, now I don't want to straight across plane, so I'm going to start there maybe. Okay, and then, see how easy that is? And you don't need it to be super detailed here. Just keep going over it, knocking it down as you want. Yeah, I like that little tint of yellow mixing with the pink. It's catching all the sky colors that we have. I don't intend for that one to be, it looks like I did, didn't it? Make that a little brighter right there. I want that tree to be pushed back a little bit. Yeah, that may have to be a tree that we bring down here in a minute because it looks a little weird. I did not intend that to happen. I like leaving a little ridge sometimes of paint. Sometimes I like to just kind of mist it out. Same thing over here. I didn't want that to really be on the same plane. Those are behind the snow. That's kind of what I was thinking in my head. Sometimes what I think in my head and what I do is two different things. So, and then over here we get a little bit of that blue in there. That's nice. And we'll make some other planes in here so that we can really have some cool things going on. But let's tell you what, let's put a little bit more of that color in the snow. This was the brush we used to put the crimson on. The rose, which to me it looks like crimson anyway. There we go. See how we're doing on time. Well, we're at 46 minutes for a bigger canvas. That's not too bad. I know we haven't really got anything super detailed in here. You could always on this one stick stretch a little mountain out back through there. That would be pretty cool. Tons of things you could do. It will look really cool. All right, I had to take a little break. So we've got some snow in. Let's put a little more snow in, actually. Put a little crimson in my white. I'm wanting a little, be able to see some different layers here. And we'll probably fiddle with this at the end here. And the way I load up for when I put snow on, I'll show you my brush. Look how much paint's in there. Soaked with paint. Full of paint. There we go. And I like leaving those little ridges. Ridges of paint look nice. And we can create as we want here, whatever we want to do. Alright, so we will probably switch just a little bit of color and do a few more trees. And I said I was going to do birch trees, but I kind of liking the layout of it as it is, so. Not a lot of birch trees grow out in these open places in Alaska. You see a lot of birch fields or forest. They grow in clumps. They grow off of each other, the new growth. They grow off the root system, so kind of makes sense. But I put a little bit more brown in my blue because I want the trunks. I want to make sure the trunks show up on these. This is a super simple painting, but I hope it's a fun one for me today. So also should be a fun one for you, and you can change it. You've got the color scheme, you got what to do here, and if you've been to Alaska, you probably paint it better than me, so. And then we want one about right here. It's a little darker. Doesn't have to be taller than that one. It's a little further down the canvas here, right there. Not really worried about the trunk size too much, but we'll beef it up a little bit here. Let's kind of drag that, and then as I get to the top, I just start letting it disappear. Okay, so there's one. Figure out, well, maybe a little more brown in there. A little brown into my blues. Remember, our blues in this painting have brown in them, so I'm just adding more brown to the same color. You know me, I don't like using a lot of. I'll show you. Maybe I'll show you my palette at the end. It's a nasty mess over here, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors out, and that includes white. So not a ton of colors here. We're not using all the colors in the world for this painting. Let's see, what else do we want? We want a big one right here. So I already see what to do. I like that one though. It looks far away. Well, let's do it. We'll use this one right here. We'll kind of raise it all the way up, and we're going to make a big old trunk on here that goes all the way down to this little snowbank right there. Ooh, right there it is. And we just kind of fill it in as we need to. These will get a little bit of highlighting where the other one, went all the way off. Look at that. Just always look at your trunk. Make sure your trunk at the bottom is thicker than the top. And your tree's going to fall over soon if it's not. Mine's not, so there, or something like that. Make those noises, it might help. Who knows? Oh, we've got two. Well, let's work on it a little bit and not go right at it trying to lay them all out. I'm going to add just a little bit more brown in here and thin it down a little bit. That was pretty much not thin. I had to maybe a sniff of paint thinner in it, meaning I touched barely any of the brush into it. There's not a lot of paint back there. You don't really need a ton of paint thinner. So my hands are going to be in the way of this one. Let's do this one first. Ooh. Now, this one's going to get foliage, so it's not. It's pretty much the same kind of tree, just a different. Painting. Right? You want to thin that down just a little bit more. And twirl that brush back to a point. We're only painting with the point. I always think of a main branch and then just pull some things off of it. Maybe there's something goes down. Who knows? Easy painting. Everything doesn't have to be super hard in this world. As I've already talked about. You watch people on the videos, you'll know the world's hard enough anyway, so always let one of them kind of wrap around, or a couple of them, like this one here. Just kind of gets crazy, cranky and crazy. What do we want? Keep them kind of thin. I almost think I got my branches spread out a little too far. That's the thing I always tell you guys. I won't tell you that this looks sweet if it doesn't. It doesn't look good to me. I don't know how you guys would find it to look good. So if there's something wrong with it, I usually try to point that out so you don't make those same mistakes. Then you may like the way it looks on mine. I don't know. Over here, we'll do the same thing. Just some little things out here. Again, we're incorporating that one back there, so it doesn't matter. You see that one behind there. Yeah, I could leave it, but I think it's going to look better if I just bring it in. These are a little bigger because this tree is a little bigger. Look at that one. It kind of came around the tree. I love this long liner. If you don't have a long liner, I would recommend Kevin Hill's. Probably is my favorite. This is pretty much just like Kevin Hill's. It's one I'm sampling. But it's super great to have these long liners. You get a lot more paint in them, and it's just easier to use. You can look at that, how thin that line is. You don't need a 10 hair brush to make thin lines. Oh, that one just kind of hanging down. I have to go turn my PlayStation off. And you know they don't have many at the bottom, so we'll probably stop there with that one. I always just run some little scraggly things off of these guys. Looks kind of cool at the end. Alright, so we'll think, what do we want to use for this? So we want to bump up our dark, because then we'll probably want to put some snow on these. I'm going to clean that filbert brush. I think I'll use the filbert for these. That's what I feel like would work best. Or what I'm in the mood to use, right? If you're just tuning in, we will have more than 2 trees down here in the foreground, so don't worry, I wouldn't do that to you. Alright, a little more blue, a little more brown. Mix those up, add some white to them. You can always put a touch of your cerulean in there too. That way you're using all the blues that are in the painting. This needs to be darker than that second layer of background ones. If it's not, it won't look right. Let's see. Is that darker than those? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. A little more Prussian blue in there. That's super strong. And a little more brown. There we go. That will work. That will work. Yeah, that's definitely darker. right there. Where do we want to go first? Well, let's think about it. Maybe just touching up here. If you've got a favorite branch here, don't put something on these branches. Okay? In fact, you can kind of skip in between where we kind of left it open. I don't like that right there. Almost too far out. I may raise that tree a little bit. That's about just a little bit darker. Fits with the tree, fits with the colors we've used. So all of a sudden we're not using, green all of a sudden in these trees. We still got blue and it's very cold. Yeah, that's gonna work, I think. Now some of these I do want to cover completely. Not all of them. I let those branches kind of hang down there. Fill that part of the trunk in a little bit. A little bit in there even. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to raise that up a little bit. I'll do it in a minute. Let's work on this one. We definitely want... I want that one to be a little bit darker. It's a little closer to us, right? So we know as things get closer, they get darker. So I'm just adding more of the Prussian and more of the brown in there. Remember, these get highlights, so don't worry if you were wondering if we're going to highlight. And that blue will act as a good base for the highlights, actually. We'll also incorporate that tree really well in the background. Into this one. Blend it in. Invasion of the tree snatchers here. Go take over the body of that tree. Now see, I love that little branch right there, how it's hanging down. So I'm not going to cover that one. I'm going to skip. I may, on that side just a little bit, a couple. Maybe just let a couple go that way. And then down here, maybe I don't care for that one as much, so I just kind of fill that in a little bit. There's no perfect needed here. Something like that. There we go. Now, we know we're going to have to do a lot more work on this painting. We're not even close. Do you have to? No. You may look at it and say, boy, that's looking good. Just stop. I would say you're crazy. And I'd say, I guess I should say thank you. But we know we need a little bit more work on here. For one, we're going to need to lay some shadows back here. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll use a dagger for that. That'll make sense. A little bit of color here. So if our brightest spot's somewhere right in here, let's just didn't make it up. It could be anywhere in here, actually. You could change it, whatever. But I think this tree is going to kind of shoot a shadow back this way. And I'm not worried about the shadow being a straight line. It can be a little wider because it's got foliage on it. Same thing for this one. If it's right there, this one's going to push back this way. Almost at this angle. And that will just be our shadow for that one. Yeah. And then we just take a sort of clean brush. We can do this at the end, by the way. It's probably easier. You don't have to do it right away. You don't have to be a perfect shadow, but you do need some shadows back there. You pull your brush. We'll make a little hump there, actually. There we go. A little bit of a shadow is nice. If you don't have a shadow, it kind of looks weird. There we go. Bring that one out just a little bit more. Anyways, got to figure out what else we want in here, really. There we go. We got that nice shadowy on that side. We got our shadow on that side. Don't worry about shadows there. I'm not worried about the shadow casting into the snow from those. Could, but that would look really odd on the painting. Well, we know we need one more big tree. Let's put it somewhere it doesn't get called in with the foliage of these. Maybe, oh heck, that's a good one. We could probably, and it doesn't have to, this is our biggest one, so we got our biggest, it could go right here. Maybe we'll use our dagger for that. We don't miss out on the dagger. So when I use all these different brushes, don't feel that you need all these brushes. You could do everything with the fan brush. It's just me mainly messing around, playing around, because I enjoy it. I enjoy trying different brushes and things. You know, I hope to one day not just paint trees and bushes and mountains. I'm really going to start doing some florals more often. So there's things like that that it'd be nice to have more brushes, and that's why I have a lot more brushes than the typical maybe beginner. You only need a 1 inch, a 2 inch maybe. I don't even know if you need the 2 inch really. A couple 1 inches would be nice. And then you need a nice script liner and a couple nice fan brushes, and you're set. That's really all you need. So if you see me using brushes and you're like, oh, I don't want to pay all that for those, you don't have to. I'm not going to worry about the little sticks on this one until the end, really. I'm just going to put a few on here. There we go. Now we got our dagger loaded up. We don't want to drag that paint thinner, loose paint out, so I'm just going to kind of tap on this one. Move the paint as I want to. It's going to be heavy with snow here in a minute anyway. We'll need a shadow too, so don't forget that. Making sure that doesn't get too monotonous and the same. Bring little branches out with this little brush. Look at that. They get down in here. Especially had I not put too much paint thinner on that tree. Or I should say the trunk of the tree. Ooh. Find that trunk again. It's a little weird looking there. So I gotta highlight it, so it's always a saving grace, I guess. Kinda being a little wonky down there is fine. Alright, let's do our shadow real quick. Scrado. Put our scrado in. Alright, so let's say bright spots right there. Still gonna cast, that shadow's probably gonna cast back this way, I think. And I'm going to say that little hump, it wouldn't go over that hump. That will give us a separation point, but do need just need some dark color back in there, and then soften it down. And then we probably messed that up, but we'll put it back. See that? Yeah, let's put that back before we forget. Right at the tree, run that through, right there. There we go. Alright. River's telling me it's time to be done, Dad. But Dad's not done, so I'm going to clean both of those brushes, the filbert and the dagger brush. Oh, I should have mentioned this. The last video I asked for, second to the last video, I guess. There should be 3 videos back. The tree one. I'll get it right here in a minute. Asked for book recommendations. A couple of you sent ones about Alaska, and I actually bought one of those. I've been reading it. I found an Alaska book on the Kindle. Really good. I don't know the name of it. These folks lived in the Aleutian Islands, were teachers, so it's pretty cool. It's definitely not a part of Alaska that I would consider living in. So, but still, it's fun to read about. I'm gonna put a little snow on here. We should probably put a little crimson in that. Don't put too much. You don't want Pepto-Bismol snow, but anyway, I always get jumbled thoughts here. Thank you. Thank you if you sent in any book recommendations. I'm enjoying reading again. Putting some snow on these guys. Rib. People don't want to hear you licking back there. I don't know, you guys, I'm sure most of you know, or several of you know, at least, they have golden retrievers running around the house. Got 3 of them. River is my baby. She's the youngest. She's 6 going on 7. Henry is the second youngest. Henry is neurotic. Henry is the Niles Crane of the household. Maybe even worse than Niles. And Copper is 13 years old. Old man. He's the senior statesman around here. So if you hear dogs, that's what you're hearing. Saving a lot of that dark. And I'm layering this on pretty thick. Look how I just look how much paint I load into that brush. But I was thinking one day I may do a video with the dogs so you guys can see them. Because as I told you earlier, talking about crazy videos on YouTube and all of us waste our time on things that don't matter. Dogs don't. I'm a dog fanatic. I'm actually an animal fanatic. Like I said on my YouTube right now, it's rescue beavers coming up and porcupines. I don't know why. I watch all those any animal video pops up, I watch it. Even though most of that snow is going to be on that, or we're going to see most of that snow on the right side of the tree, you've got to let a little bit creep over to the other side or it's going to look like you took a big chainsaw down the middle of that. And I'm just laying that snow in super thick right on top of those branches. See how thick that one is? And I'm just kind of touching. And I've got some liquid white in there to help it just come right off the brush. If you don't have that, it just doesn't work quite as well. Fill that in, yep. Leave a little space there and put some there. Don't just leave layers of snow. Make sure you've got some of that pockets of dark in there. You don't want just layers of white, I guess is what I should say, not just layers of snow. I know I always take a little longer on the highlighting, but I want it to look good. That looks pretty good. I would like it a little bit stronger pink, I think, on the next one. A little bit more in there. Just because it's in the sky. Yeah. Now I'm getting this brush gummed up with, an old chunky paint in there. Alright, let's do this one. And then this one's going to get more highlights on the other side. Oh! Here, we'll do this one next. I was going to raise this one, but I may just leave it. Nothing wrong with it. And the manner it is. And I'm going to blow your mind here in a minute. We'll do something I said I wasn't going to do. Or maybe I did say I'd go back and do it. I'm reloading that brush quite often. Just so I can keep that snow really thick in my brush. Or I should say that paint, right? If I've got snow on my brush, my painting's probably not going to turn out too good. I really wanted to put some birch trees, but I think this just looks more Alaskan-y to me. Super simple scene. I don't know what I'll do with this painting. If anybody would like to buy it, I'll sell it to you at a reasonable rate. You can hang it in your house and you can say, oh, I know who painted that. I watched him paint it. How about that? And again, if I made you mad about the prepping videos, I apologize. I watch them too. It's just, I'm trying to find other things to watch that are a little happier. Or a little better for me, maybe. I don't know. There we go. There we go. Boy, that one's full of snow, isn't it? Let's highlight with our dagger. Making sure I'm recording. Forgot to check that. We're at 1 hour and 11 minutes, guys. Now, you could paint this probably in 30 minutes. You know Bob could. Now, I got something on Bob today, though. I got a 15 by 30. That's a little different size canvas. Now, I do know that, let's see, it's a seascape that Bob used a weird size canvas on. Can't think of the seascape. There's only a couple times you used different size canvas, and that was one of them. It was a seascape. I think it was a 12 by 24, maybe. So a longer canvas than normal for Bob. And they looked really well. They looked really good on that one. So, let's go. Look how much paint I'm loading up on here now. Be careful. Get used to the paint. Get used to the brush here. I've never highlighted with this one. So this may look awful. Mainly just thinking of it sitting on that one and then maybe a couple of spots. See how it's hanging down? Grabbing a little bit of that snow. I know this looks like Alaska to me. This is probably a little too easy of a painting for me to do in the 2-day workshop I'm having up there, but I'll probably do something similar on one of the days, but just raise the stakes maybe. Cop, what are you doing? Sorry, I have to yell at my dogs. I'm just trying to see what happens if I push up on the brush. Well, it's fun to try those things out, and I don't mind to try them with you guys watching, as long as you understand that sometimes I don't like the effect that I get. So you need to make sure that you like what happens before you just run off and do it if you see me do it. I kind of like just pushing up on the brush and then going back and just kind of, down here got a little loose anyway. Well, it looks good. Now, one thing we could do to beef those trees up just a little bit, we did it to start with. Let's do it again. More blue in there this time. Take our script liner with a little bit of paint thinner, especially on this one. Maybe just run some little things out of it. Through the snow that we put on the tree. Little details matter in a painting. I know it's always best to kind of stop while you're ahead, but it's also best to make sure the painting looks good, in my opinion. Okay. So if you go back and add something that doesn't look good, don't do that next time. Maybe on this side a little straighter down into the snow. Just like that. Well, this one's got plenty, but maybe there's one right there. I don't know. Well, let's make that trunk just a little more substantial. And to blunt that end, just kind of push in and pull off. If you ever want to, you can go back through the tree and kind of pull. I'll show you here what it looks like. This piece of trunk is sitting in front of that snow, so it's not all one-sided. What else do we need here, guys? We've got shadows in for our trees. We got 3 trees, very sparse. Oh, I'm going to take a little break and look at it. Let me put a couple more things in. Excuse me. All right, some things I don't like. Thinking about what else. I may want to do 5 trees. I can't decide. I kind of like the openness of it. This looks very Alaskan-y. A few little touch-up things I see. That tree should be a little further down, so we need to fix that one. And then I want some more of these in here. I think these make it more than the full ones. Other than that, and that one needs to be a little further down. It's looking pretty good. It's looking what I had in my head. Now, in my head, I was going to put birch trees in here instead of these. But actually, this works better, like I said, for an Alaskan scene. So, if you don't mind, painting can be done if you want it to be, or we can keep messing with it. So, I'm going to keep messing with it. And if you want to just turn it off or mute me and just watch what I do, please do that. I always appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you just listening to me ramble. I don't know why during the day, apparently, because I'm painting more during the day than I used to. Again, reading books about how important sleep is for us. It's made me go to bed earlier, so I'm not as much of a night owl anymore. But I talk more during the day. I ramble. I don't understand it, but you get to hear it, or you can mute it. Fast forward through my nonsense and saying crazy things, please. Won't offend me. It actually probably would make me feel better. Alright, I'm going to try to match up that blue, that second blue we were using. A little darker than the first and not as dark as the last. So I'm already out of it, so I'm having to try to mix that on my palette. I'm going to use the... throw a little color in here. Try to bring this one down just a little bit, and not all the way, and let it just kind of disappear in there. I think I did that one with the filbert, so I probably should have used it, but yeah, let's switch back to the filbert. I don't want the tree to start looking like it grew differently at the bottom. Just cleaning it in paint thinner. Paint thinner that's not from the hardware store. It's Gamsol, so make sure you get you some good paint thinner. I don't want you guys getting sick. There we go. I think that'll work. Add a little more. Let's get me a little more brown out. I'm about out of brown. Let's see if we can make this work. Go. Oh yeah. Again, I don't want much. I just want it to come down a little bit further. This one, I like some of them. They look like they're floating, but that's intentional. This one looks a little too floaty to me. And let it get a little fuller at the bottom too. We don't want to bring. I'm not bringing it all the way to the ridge of snow, and I want it to kind of just run out eventually. Just kind of like that. Got very full at the bottom, as these trees will tend to do. And then I'm going to try carefully just to get in here and kind of mist that one out a little bit at the bottom. And then I can always put my ridge back in, right? Wipe a little bit of that paint off. I wasn't intending to add mist, just intending to bring that tree down. And also just kind of move that mist around, swirling it. Again, I think I mentioned it earlier, mist is just clouds, so low-lying clouds, that's all we've got. Yeah, I like that a little better. Not sold on it yet, but for now we'll go with it. I gotta find my white. I need a little more white out. What happened to it? I'm embarrassed to show you guys my palette because I just lay everything everywhere. It drives me insane. Yet that's the way I do it. Don't ask. Alright, well, just a touch of yellow, a touch of red in there. Good bit of paint. I want to bring that nice ridge back. I got it on the wrong side. Put the ridge on top and turn the brush over. There we go. We could just incorporate that one in a little bit to where the ridge is not completely. There we go. Yeah, I like that better. I wanted to put a little yellow in my snow. And then capture that ridge. Oh, there's the edge. See it? Now we've got a definite edge over there.